Unsyndicated presents Off the Board, the weekly gambling show. Hosted by Majchrzak and Mike Iavasile.
All right, these new graphics are fire. Todd absolutely killed it. So thank you, Todd, for that. Welcome into Off the Board. I'm Majchrzak. He's Mike Iavasile. And we're going to have a lot of fun tonight because, first of all, you're talking to two guys that are up now for the season. Yeah. We had a good week last week, Mike. How are you feeling coming off of that?
I'm feeling real good. As we just spoke a little bit before the show, I'm not so sure about what I got going this week, but last week, and it goes to show something that we've been talking about, it was by far my best week of closing line value. I was 9-3 and like 4 overall on my closing. If you can win the closing value on 9 bets, you're gonna do well. So I was feeling good just even sitting there. I think I tweeted out early that my first 2 bets that went off, I didn't win it. But after that, they started going. And I tell you what, Blake, in that tweet when I was eating, I said, let's have a day. We had a day. We had a day.
We had 2 days.
Yes.
Like, I didn't do as good on my NFL picks, but I did well enough that I felt good about it. But my college picks, we texted right as like the 3:30 game started, and I'm like, I haven't lost yet. The only game I lost was Michigan -22, yeah. And that was a heart game. That wasn't a me thinking. I was just like,
right.
They need to cover this for my mental health, and then they didn't. But everything else was working great. I was happy, and then NFL Sunday came around, and I had a feeling about the Bucks. I took them on the money line, so that was great. Like, it was just a good weekend overall. I can't complain too much. I didn't watch so I didn't get to watch much of the NFL slate. I was working on some stuff around the house. It was hilarious because my wife watched the entire Lions game, and she's not a Lions fan either. Oh. And she was just bitching up a storm about Jared Goff, and I'm like, welcome to Detroit.
Well, watch that future go right out. He went from 20 to 25 to 1. I think that was during that game. But so I was just the opposite. I was telling you, I had a golf outing on Saturday, and then I went right to a surprise birthday party. I didn't see much, but I was following the college slate. So I watched more NFL this week, and I'll tell you what, do I have a list of complaints? I just listed them, Blake, at the top of my page.
A list of grievances.
It's called "We Bet on This." Like, seriously, I kept looking at my wife, and I do this and I'm like, can you believe what was it the one week? It was Will Levis. Can you believe I bet on this? And so I've got some stuff to go over that I'm like, I can't believe we bet on this, and it's looking ugly, but let's keep with the positive vibes right now. We're doing good, right? Do we want to review what we did? Where do we want to go now?
Yeah, Todd, if you want to fire up the graphic from last week, I'm more than happy to look at last week's bets because that's a lot of green. That is a lot of green, and you know what? I don't want to brag, but I'm gonna brag. It was great. Like, I felt really good about all these picks. And it was a great, like we talked about last week too. It wasn't like the best slate of games, but it turned out to be. There wasn't a bunch of upsets, but like that Pitt West Virginia game was back and forth, down to the wire. It was an incredible game. BC obviously stayed in that game all the way through with Missouri, so that was a great game. Washington State pulling the upset against Washington in the Apple Cup. That's fantastic for that. There was really good games last week that we got to enjoy.
Yeah, there was good games, and even with this slate, we're not too high on this slate, but what we said is there's some interesting games to watch, and I like those kinds of games because usually, Blake, those are the ones we're on, right? Those interesting ones. It's got an interesting line. It moved here, it moved there, and I when we get to our NCAA bets this week, not for the show, but the ones I have in the pocket, I'm telling you, I have some clunkers out there, but I have fallen in love fallen in love with these big dogs in the NCAA. They were 50%. I've got it written down here this week. I'll find it somewhere, but they went 50% this week if they were over 15.5 points.
Yeah.
That is something I'm interested in. That is something I fired on, fortunately or unfortunately, a couple times this week. So
yeah, I mean, for this board to be this green, and the only loser was the under 49.5 for Alabama, and you weren't like you lost that game that by 2.5 points.
yeah, it was a good one. But again, when we go back and you rewatch last week's show, I was talking it up. I was saying, guys, we know what we're talking about. We were feeling really good even when we were doing that show on Friday.
Yes. And now we're back. We're doing it a day earlier because Mike's got some travel, some family stuff going on. So, which is, I'm super excited for you to be able to go watch your son play some more hockey. So that's going to be awesome. Todd, is the next one's the NFL slate from last week, right? Yep. There we are. So NFL wasn't as good. I mean, Mike killed it, like absolutely crushed it. If there was anything I wish I would have done differently, it was just even the Houston, like that was a bad beat. Like they should have won that game. They should have covered that under in the KC Cincinnati game, like literally came right down to that last field goal.
Yep.
The Rams, obviously that game was never close. So
yeah,
it is what it is. But the other two I would fire on again and feel good about.
Oh yeah, and same with mine, firing on Detroit minus the 7.5. And as we go through all this, even from the 4 or 5 shows we've done, you know I'm usually not a minus 7.5 guy, but if things make sense to me, they make sense to me. But just looking at this slate right here, and that Detroit loss, that Houston loss for you, that the under in the Kansas City loss for you, we'll just blow that Arizona game out because that was just a clunker. But that's where my I can't believe we bet on this starts. If we want to start there,
yeah.
I mean it's as simple as with the Cincinnati game, that game going under. The NFL and penalties is absolutely killing us from stops to whatever Jamar Chase said in that moment. It almost cost everything. But the bigger one on it is where I'm going to get to is the quarterback play in the NFL is getting to me, and I got some stats. But the coaching, that you go to that Lions game, Dan Campbell blew that game at the end of the first half. And hopefully my prophecy isn't coming true, but I don't know what Ben Johnson's doing. And these coaches in this league, and I'm going to go down here from the Dan Campbell to Nick Sirianni on the final drive of that game, blowing that game and losing a ton of bets for some people. You got Brian Daboll. He knew his kicker was hurt before the game. He does not put a backup kicker on that lineup. They score 3 touchdowns and give up no touchdowns and lose that game because of that decision.
By the way, do you know what that? So obviously in the NFL, it's a 53-man roster. They only had 52 men on the roster. They literally had an open roster spot. Could have signed a kicker off of the streets and just had him as the emergency backup.
We bet on this stuff. This is what I'm writing this stuff down, and I'm going crazy. Shane,
that should be illegal though. Jail for Brian Daboll.
You go to the Indianapolis Green Bay game. You're going into that game. Is it Sturkins? Is that his name? He's going into this game. He knows that Malik Willis isn't going to throw that ball. And they allowed 260, 270 yards rushing. They couldn't get together. There's no reason they should lose that game. Do I even need to say anything about Mike McCarthy? How this guy still has a job that after that Green Bay loss in the playoffs and that stinker right there, this stinks of them quitting on him. DeMeco Ryans and some questionable time management in that game. But here we go. I have over 5.5 wins for the Denver Broncos. And the guy that's leading them at the end of the game, down by 10 in the red zone, not only just decides to kick a field goal when you know your quarterback can't sustain a drive, so you're never going to get down there again. You need to go for it. He doesn't do the onside kick. He's only got one timeout. Best case, you know what, Blake? The best case scenario did happen for him. He got the ball with 8 seconds left at the 10-yard line. Are you kidding me? I have over 5.5 on that. I should start a fire. I should have donated that money.
Yeah, that's not coaching to win. That's coaching not to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, just don't make it ugly. We're gonna get through this. We have Bo Nix who stinks. Like, the rookie quarterback play too is like actually insane. Is there a rookie quarterback that's starting? I don't think there is that has a touchdown pass.
No, he don't. They don't. That gets into my next. We bet on this. There's not one rookie quarterback that has thrown a touchdown pass, but we can even give them a pass on that. Overall, the quarterback play in the NFL is almost unbettable. So let's see these stats right here for you. You know, I love throwing numbers out there at you, Blake. Through the first 2 weeks of the season from 2019 to 2022, quarterbacks were throwing over 100 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
By 2023, that was down to 86. This year, 66 touchdown passes thrown in the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
We bet on this. Are you kidding me? Passing yards, 2016, 258 yards a game. This year, 193 yards a game.
Mahomes had his lowest passing output of his career for a game that he finished in that Cincinnati game.
And this is in the league that tells us it's offense. They're creating rules to make more offense. It's a passing league. It's this. It is not. And I just have unders underlined 10, 5, and 1 last week. And this is what the unders because of this coaching and because of the quarterback play. But yet you'll see I fire on a couple overs, right? But these are when I'm in the penalties. But when I'm betting and I'm watching these games, these are all the things I'm taking notes on. And I'm like, I can't wait to get Blake's. Like, what do we do? Can they develop quarterbacks?
I think it's twofold. I think defensives have gotten better in the NFL. There's better athletes all over the field. Like, legitimately, there's just more athleticism at every level. Offensive line play has been atrocious in both college and the NFL. The problem is colleges aren't doing as much to develop linemen to be ready for the NFL. And that's a huge part of it. Like, offensive line play, I mean, think about it. Legitimately in the NFL, there's maybe 6 offensive lines that you can say, like, I trust this offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what Hutch did. 4.5, 5.5 sacks.
Yeah.
Like, that's not and don't get me wrong, he's been playing great. I've completely been wrong on him this year. But still, the offensive line play in the NFL is really bad, and it's not helping these young quarterbacks or these veteran quarterbacks out at all.
Yeah, and if they call another what is it, the illegal receiver downfield, I forget what it's called. You know what I'm talking about. The lineman downfield.
Yeah,
the most senseless
the RPOs.
The most senseless penalty I've ever seen. The guy's just standing there doing nothing, and that has killed so many things. But enough about my complaining. We
had a good week, and you're just coming here with a list of grievances.
Oh, well, I'm watching, but when you're watching,
I agree.
Pulls my hair out. I'm like, at least I didn't have any money on Will Levis this week, so I could get off of that guy's back. No. I might be getting in on him this week, but we'll see. Quick question, Blake. We were talking about that Notre Dame game. Did you get in on that last week?
Yeah, I had Purdue. That was one of my locks.
You ended up on Purdue. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because
that line moved like insane by the end. Yes. I think it got all the way down to like 6.5.
Yes, and that's that's why I didn't catch it. So I wish I would have caught it because I would have taken it. But it was one where I put out a tweet. And it was kind of cryptic with the casino reference in there, where he knew, what who was sleeping with whose girlfriend and what guy, the human element kind of it. And my point is, when you're watching these lines and they move, and we were talking about that line moving, what that's telling you is somebody knows something. And because we were questioning whether Leonard was going to play, he ended up playing, right? But when that line's moving like that and you're questioning an injury, usually you might want to fire on that one, because those guys, they make their money off knowing more than you before you know it, and getting to that line. I was shocked when I saw that he had played. Like when I saw this guy, I'm like, oh my God. And I looked up the score and I'm like, well, I guess he played. That in reference to this week with this Jordan Love news coming out, whether he's going to play or he's not going to play, and it really seems to be trending like he's going to play. I'm shocked that line hasn't moved.
Yeah, I really hope he doesn't, because like first of all, I want the Malik Willis revenge game. And like I think that was just an incredible job of coaching by LaFleur last week. Like he put him in such good positions, and he was incredibly efficient, and it was just an incredible game plan by them. So I think you wait on Jordan Love. You just let him get healthy. Especially like Tennessee's bad. Why would you risk that? But we can
I agree.
You ready to get into this week's
I'm ready to get in this, because there's
that's right. Look at those two numbers.
Woo!
You see those?
We're back. We're
in
back.
the green, baby.
Here we go. I can't wait to get to this week's picks, this week's trends that I'm going to throw at you, Blake. Watch out.
I'm ready. All right. So for the first game this week, I got to pull up my sheet now. Friday night, Illinois at Nebraska. Nebraska is favored by 7.5. The over-under is 42.5. I will start with this one. I love Nebraska. I think that Nebraska might be back. I think Nebraska will be 6-0 going into the Ohio State game. So I will take Nebraska laying the 7.5. Illinois has played well this year, but they've also been somewhat up and down. Like looking back on that Kansas game that they won 2 weeks ago now, like Kansas just got ran by UNLV.
Yeah.
So I don't know how good of a win that is now. I really like this Nebraska team. Raiola has been playing great. Yep. So I will lay them. I know it's weird time, Friday night, everything, but I like them at home.
All right. I like your vigor. I like the way you went after it, and you love Nebraska. Because when I'm looking at the splits, the public doesn't know who to take. You got some people that are like, "Hey, Nebraska, they're at home. They're gonna take those points." With Illinois, there's some people that are like, "Hey, these guys look good. 7 in that, they get that hook. It's all right." But if it's 50-50, why did that line move? When they have money on both sides, right? It shouldn't move. But that line moved from 8.5 to 7.5. That shows me some smart money on Illinois, and I'm taking Illinois with 7 in the hook.
All right. I can't argue smart money.
You can't.
I can't. All right. So the next game, my Wolverines at home against USC. USC, I think, is genuinely, and I'm not just saying this, I think USC is the story of the college football season, especially in the Big Ten. The way that they have completely changed their defense.
Yes.
And just how much better it is this year. And obviously, like Michigan going through everything they're going through right now. Mike, I'll let you take this one first.
Yeah,
so that I'm not too much of a homer.
That's all right. I think you hit it on the head. You're talking about a USA team that's a USC team that's putting together almost a top 10 defense in the nation right now. These guys are on fire. And a Michigan team that doesn't know what they're doing on offense. We don't know if Orji can throw a ball. But when I'm looking at this, I've got a split of 38% of the bets, but 68% of the money are firing on this under. The line moved from 45.5 to 44.5. I'm taking the under at 44.5 in this game.
I am right there with you. I think that this is what the second the Orji news came out, I wish I would have just fired on this under, because I think it's moved. It was when that news came out the line started moving down. So I agree with you 100%. And I have to see it out of Michigan. And if I'm gonna lay my hard-earned money on a team, I'm gonna lay it on the team that I've seen it out of.
Okay.
USC. USC minus the 5.5 and the under. The way I think Michigan script wise can win this game is if they force a turnover or two and they run to the outside. I don't think you're going to be able to out physical USC on the inside. They have to run some stretch plays, some outside plays, some quick, easy bubble screens, stuff like that. Because I'm still not sure if USC's corners and safeties want to tackle, but I know their linebackers and D-line can tackle.
Yeah, the days of running over them are over. This defense is for real.
Yes. So I really hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm going to be. So we'll see what happens. Oklahoma State and Utah.
All right.
This is one of those really interesting games. Obviously, both teams are ranked. Both teams are undefeated. Oklahoma State's had a shaky start to the season. Utah with Cam Rising and all the drama with him, he gets injured like every other play. But I am going to I don't want to pick a side in this because and by the way, I don't know if you know this. I'm 99% sure this is the oldest quarterback matchup we have ever seen in college football. These guys are both 7th year quarterbacks. The combined age I want to say is like 40 something.
Yeah, they're
49, I believe.
That's becoming the norm now, though. What we have the other day, we were watching the game and the guy was on his 9th year.
Yeah. Yeah, the Miami kid. Yeah. So my pick for this game is just going to be the over. Nothing else. Okay. Oh, and Oklahoma. I did fire on Oklahoma State. I need to read what I sent you, Todd. Yeah, I'm taking the home team. Less than a field goal. But yeah. Oklahoma State and over. But I really feel good about the over. And yeah, I'll take Oklahoma State.
Yes. This is one of these games. I think I've said this every week we've done the show because there's always one that does this. When this line first came out, Utah was favored. I want to say they were about -1.5, maybe 2. And so we've got Oklahoma State that's gone from dog to fave. Dog to fave isn't because of public money. Dog to fave is because of smart money. So this is an easy fire on me. Oklahoma State -2.5.
By the way, I'm looking at my text now, and Todd told me to proofread this. I did not take the Oklahoma State. I just took the over, just to be clear in the text. I'm looking at it right now, but that's my fault for not proofreading what Todd put out there. He said, proofread this. And I said, looks good. And I'm dumb. So Todd, it's my fault, not yours. You don't have to fix it. Now I'm going to take Oklahoma State. I'm just on principle. I'm taking over. He's already fixing it. I'm mad at him.
You have to do it. You have to do it, right?
Well, I'm gonna end up betting Oklahoma State now because I accidentally took them.
Yes.
And Mike likes them. So
there we go. There we go. The money's there, baby. The money's there.
I ride with Mike. Do you have any other thoughts on that game while Todd is fixing the graphic manically because he has to?
Other than it's going to be a beauty, and hopefully Cam Rising can stay healthy. Just not for my bet.
That's the part that scares me about Utah.
That's just got to happen for the betterment of the game. We want to see these guys get healthy. I'm complaining about quarterbacks in the NFL. If these guys can stay healthy. I mean, I like Utah. Utah is a good team. However, I just can't trust them.
100%. Yeah, I feel like every time I bet on Utah, Cam Rising gets hurt. And I don't want that. Thank you, Todd. Next game. This is the game of the week, in my opinion. Tennessee at Oklahoma. There's a lot of storylines with this game. Tennessee's favored by 7.5 on the road. Oklahoma's SEC opener. And the over-under is 56.5. Mike, I'll let you take this one away, man.
Yeah, this is one where I think the line got away. So I can't do the dog to fave because when this line came out in the summer, I want to say Oklahoma was favored by at least 3.5 points. This was a huge swing with what we've seen. We were talking about this before. the show where Tennessee hasn't scored under 50 points. It's
Mhm.
absolutely insane. So it only makes sense that I'm on the under here. Only 24% of the bets are here, but the move, this line's gone from 58.5 to 56.5. You're going to hear me saying this a lot this week, and it scares me because you want to do it a couple times, but not as much as I did this week. I'm on the side of the book with this one. They're going to need this game to go under because 76% of the people are going to be hammering this over.
And I'm one of those people.
Yes.
I'm
And
going to take the
rightfully so.
over. And I love Tennessee. I truly believe in this. I think Tennessee is the second best team in the SEC right now.
Yep.
I really, really like this team. I love what the thing is like everyone looks at Tennessee and they see all the passing and how the offense, their running game has been incredible this year. They've been incredibly physical on the offensive and defensive lines. Their defense has played out of its mind. Just let me look at this real quick. I think that, yeah, they've given up 13 points on the season. And I know they haven't played a great schedule.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But still, you win a game 69-3, 51-10, 71-0. Your offense is clearly clicking and something is working. So, and I genuinely think that they can hit this over by themselves, but I think Oklahoma will score some points. But I love Tennessee in this spot. This is I have a very similar feeling to this, like we talked about last week with the Alabama game, how I might take it on an alt line.
Yep.
I did end up taking Alabama minus 20.5.
Okay.
So obviously that hit. I felt really good about it. This is a game I might, take it at Tennessee minus 13.5, something like that.
Okay.
I think Tennessee's really, really good.
And if there's something we've talked about and we will continue to talk about as long as we're doing this podcast is you have your system. I have my system. You talked about it last week that Tennessee is one of your teams.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to take them. If you're going to do that, you have to trust your system, no matter 7 and a hook on the road at Oklahoma, a team that hasn't been an underdog of 7.5 of this much. I think since like 1998 is what I heard. Then you've got to go for it. You can't waver. That's where you lose bets because you don't make them.
100%.
If you like it, you fire on it. And as soon as we get this last one in, I'm going to give you that trend because the trend I have has both games on this board.
And do you know the backstory with Josh Heupel, Tennessee's head coach, and the Oklahoma?
Yes,
like how
they're calling it the revenge game.
Yeah, so he won a national championship at Oklahoma as a quarterback. He was the offensive coordinator under Bob Stoops. Then later in life, he got fired after it was like a 9-3, 8-4 season. Like it wasn't up to their standards, but it was still a pretty good year. He got fired, and then the next year Lincoln Riley was hired.
Yeah.
But he was not happy when he got fired. He felt he was wronged, and he does not have a good relationship with Oklahoma whatsoever.
Yep.
So he's gonna want to put up some points in this game, and that also makes me feel very good about it.
I like it. There's revenge. I've got a revenge trend coming too soon, so stay tuned.
And then the last game, Michigan State traveling to BC. Over under is 45.5. Do you know what game this is for Boston College?
What game it is?
This is very important.
This is a very important game for Boston College?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that. I don't know
this. This might change things for you. And this is the red bandana game.
Okay.
And do you know the red bandana story?
I do not know the red bandana story.
So they play this game once a year. They wear special uniforms where the red stripe in their helmet is a red bandana. They do that because one of their former players went into one of the Twin Towers on 9/11 and was saving people. And he was known for wearing a red bandana. So he was an alum that played on the BC football team. So in his honor, they play this game. They play the red bandana game every year.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
It's an incredible story. There's more to the story, but dude was an incredible man, obviously. Like, and the fact that BC still to this day honors him, like, shows how much of an impact he had on that community. And I don't want this to sound inappropriate. Red bandana is an automatic fire for me for Boston College every single time.
And I can't deny that. And I think if I would have known that story, I'd be on that. In my mind, 6.5 is not enough. However, not knowing that story, I've got under 45.5. I've got 67% of the bets are firing on the over. However, this line has not moved. It is set at 45.5. It stays at 45.5. So again, the theme of my week this week is I'm on the side of the books. Not necessarily the money, but I'm on the side of the books, and we know why the books are alive today is because they take our money. So I'm good with that one.
All right. Yeah. So and now you know for future reference.
Yes.
Red bandana game.
Red bandana game. So Blake, let's see if I can sway you, and not only sway you, but can I sway you to take one of your loves or go against one of your loves? Here, I'm talking about Michigan and Tennessee. So since 2017, when two ranked teams play, the home team, I'm not even going to go ATS, Blake. The home team is 172-85 straight up. Who matches that? Your Michigan Wolverines or Oklahoma against Tennessee. If forced, which one of those are you taking to follow this trend?
Michigan.
Okay. I
just because of the more unknowns. Yeah. If like, obviously I don't like either of those home dogs because I picked against both of them.
Yeah.
But there's more unknowns on Michigan, whereas I know what Tennessee is.
Yes.
I know exactly what Tennessee is, and I think I know what Oklahoma is. I've watched a good amount of Oklahoma, but I really know what Tennessee is. And USC still has some questions to answer. Obviously, they're playing a hell of a lot better, but this is a huge test for them to show that they can out physical one of the most physical teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Obviously, they did it against LSU, but they had an entire offseason to prepare for that. Now you're talking about going to the Big House, not a neutral site game. So if you were forcing me to pick one, I'm taking Michigan because
that's where I would lean to. I was leaning towards that one. USC, I like them. We talked about the defense, but Tennessee flat out is scaring everybody right now. That could end this week, but going into this game, I'd be way more afraid of taking a money line against Tennessee than I would against USC.
Mm-hmm. And then did you have another college trend?
I do, but it's going to get it. It'll start with my NCAA picks that are in my pocket.
I got you. Well, do you want to just get right into those?
Let's get right into
these.
Let's
do it. I love it.
And I'm going to start right off the bat. I'm going to change things up. I'm going to see how this works for me because I always give my splits and then the line moves. I'm going to try to give a little bit of an eyeball look of what maybe the public is seeing. And why they're going that way. I'm going to see if this works for me here. So in my first game, I am looking at Navy and Memphis, that game. So the public sees Memphis, and that 83% of the bets are on Memphis. They see this team that is playing well. They're projected. A lot of people are taking them, Blake, to make the playoffs.
Yep.
So they're firing on them. They say that this is going to be an easy cover against this Navy team. However, I'm taking Navy plus 10.5 because we have a split. Oh, no. Damn it, Mike, you messed it up. Navy lost to Memphis last year, 28-24, right? So this is a revenge angle. All right. Navy is 64% against the spread since 2016 in revenge spots. I'm taking Navy plus 10.5 on that one. That line has also moved with me from 11 to 10.5.
And Memphis might be riding a little high after the Florida State win.
Yes, that's right. A little letdown spot.
A little letdown spot. It could be closer than the experts think. I do not hate that pick. I was looking at the over-under in that game.
Okay.
I can't remember the number off the top of my head. But I'd like Service Academy unders, obviously, are always very profitable.
And in this one, just like I said, the theme of my week is I'm on the side of the books. 13% of the bets, 34% of the money. Why is that line moving towards me? I don't ask questions. I just fire. All right, my next one, the New Mexico Fresno State game.
These are two gross games, by the way. I love that.
You know it. People are looking at Fresno State, a team that has outscored their opponents 94-30 this year. They think that this is an easy cover. They're running to take Fresno State. Hold on. 37% of the bets, but 74% of that money is on New Mexico, and that line has moved from 15.5 and 15. I actually got it at the 15.5. That's why you have to shop around. So I've got New Mexico plus 15.5. Hold your nose and take that one, Blake. I told you I'm taking some big
gross game.
Here's one that again, this is going to be just as gross. Yeah, I've got the South Florida Miami game here. Everyone, the public, 86% of the people are looking at Miami and they're running to lay these points. They think Miami's just going to boot stop them. However, I've got 14% of the bets, but 59% of the money with me in South Florida. That line's moved from 16.5 and from 17.5 to 16.5. I got South Florida at plus 16.5. Another stinker, another big dog, another theme. My next one, the Southern Miss Jacksonville State game. Who's betting on this game? I am, right? So the split on this one is 49% of the bets, 76% of the money is with me on Southern Miss. That line's moved from 7 to 6.5. I've got Southern Miss in this one. I don't know why, but when the money speaks, Blake, I just listen.
Those were three of the most disgusting games. And
it gets better. It gets better. All right. Okay. I'm going all the way down to UTEP and Colorado State here. Yeah. The public is all over Colorado State. They see the bigger team. They see a really, really stinky UTEP team here. They think they're going to cover this bet easily. However, 34% of the bets, 59% of the money is with me on UTEP. That line's moved from 10 to 9.5. I got it at 9.5. I'm taking UTEP plus 9.5.
I like that pick a lot because I think Colorado State's horrible.
All right. So Blake, this one's going to get you excited here. This one's going to get you very excited. The Arizona State Texas Tech game. I'm not taking a side. I'm going under 58.5. All right. Now, Blake, only 10% of the money. 90% of the money's on the over. They think this game's going over. These teams are averaging like 97 points a game, right?
Yeah.
I'm going under with 10% of the money because there's going to be 15-mile-an-hour winds or more, and that leads to an under, Blake. We're going wind under, baby.
It's a wonder.
Yes.
It's a wonder, and I love that. I love that. I do that with Wyoming games. I check the weather before Wyoming plays home games all the time. And that wind with Northwestern where they're playing right off the lake.
Off the water, yep.
That's also one I've kept in the tickler file.
All right. Just in case you thought I couldn't get stinkier, I'm going to the San Jose State, Washington State game here. People are looking at Washington State coming off that win against Washington. They're running to take this to lay the points. However, 29% of the bets, 43% of the money. So I'm going to be on the side of the book here. But this line has moved from 14.5 to 12. I missed the best number probably, but I'm taking San Jose State plus the 12.
All right.
There we go. And it just keeps going. This one's not as ugly, but it is on the side of the books, of course. I'm taking Minnesota plus 2.5. 25% of the bets, 25% of the money, but that line hasn't moved all week. I think people are real high on Iowa and this newfound offense that they seem to have. But at home, I'm taking the 2.5 points.
Real quick, off of that game, real quick.
Yep.
One of my picks is also the under in that game, 35.5. I do not believe in either of these offenses, and in a classic Big Ten West matchup.
Yeah.
Give me the under all day in that game. And it's a gross number, 35. That's lower than NFL numbers.
Yes,
but I give me that all day.
That's old school Iowa there. And here comes my last two are probably the stinkiest. It needs no explanation, no run up to why the public is all over these other teams. The first one is the Bowling Green Texas A&M game. I'm going Bowling Green plus 22.5. That line's moved from 23.5 to 22.5. And I've got 33% of the bets, but 68% of the money on my side. And then the last one, Blake, I don't know why I have this bet. I don't know why I have this bet because everybody and their mother has Texas. But I have Louisiana Monroe plus 44.5 because that line moved from 45 to 44.5, and I seen it, and I had it.
That one I could be one of my picks is Texas minus the 44.5. Strictly because I think that they're going to want to show off Arch Manning.
Yes.
And I also have the over 52.5. So I can start with that one because we just disagree on that one right off the rip. But I think that Texas is like, now, do you know this might help your pick? And I just want you to know this. Do you know Louisiana Monroe's quarterback's name?
Come on now, Blake. You know that's not my game.
General Booty.
Oh yeah, I just won
General Booty.
I won that bet on principle alone right now. I cannot wait.
He was the former Oklahoma backup. He transferred to Louisiana Monroe in the offseason. And yes, his legal God-given name is General Booty. So just know that you are betting on General Booty.
Those are parents I want to sit down and have a beer with.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that might make you feel better about yours, but I will roll with Arch Manning. I think that Sark's gonna really scheme some stuff up for him and make him feel good about not being the starter for the rest of the season.
Yes,
and put some pressure on Quinn Ewers to come back too.
Yes, and part of me looking into that is the guy looks real. He's done a great job. Will he have a little bit of a hiccup? It's just a lot of points out there. It's only going to take one hiccup. You know, all I need is 14 points, I think, and I might be all right. But I think I said that in that Colorado State game against Texas, and I didn't even get close to that one. So
yeah, and you have General Booty on your side.
I got the best name in the league. I got this.
So my other games, and I'll just fire through these real quick. Clemson minus 19.5 at NC State. I think Clemson has the better roster. Cade Klubnik has played better against App State, and I just don't think this NC State team is very good. Marshall at Ohio State. I'm going to just take the over 52.5 because I think that Ohio State will put that up on their own. If that gives you any indication of what side I would take in that game, by all means, go for it. I am morally not allowed to bet on Ohio State, but
I got it.
Florida, Mississippi State. These teams both stink. Mississippi State lost last week to Toledo, a MAC team, and they didn't just lose; they got smoked.
Yep.
Their offensive and defensive lines legitimately are worse than some G5 teams. They're that bad on the lines of scrimmage. They're horrible. That being said, I think Florida has completely given up on Billy Napier. I like the under in this game, 58.5. Two teams that just aren't good and have given up.
I love it. I love under.
Georgia Tech at Louisville. I think a lot of people saw Georgia Tech and that win over Florida State. I think Louisville has a legitimate chance to compete for the ACC. So I think that roster, like, they brought in a lot through the portal, and a lot of it has worked.
Okay.
So I like this Louisville team a lot. I will take them at home, laying 10.5. I know it's kind of a big number, but I like them. Cal at Florida State. Cal beat Auburn. Florida State has not beaten anyone.
Nope.
Cal is getting 2.5 points. That this spread makes no sense whatsoever, but I'm still going to take Cal plus the 2.5. It might be just a total like weird spot where Florida State shows up finally. But until I see it, I can't bet Florida State as a favorite.
No, you can't. You can. And at some point, all that comes to an end. But you ride what you know, and you go. You're not late to the party. It's something that we've been on, so you just keep going.
Yep. And the other two games I already mentioned: Iowa at Minnesota under 35.5, and then, like I said, I like Texas and I like the over. So on to the NFL, Mike.
Yes.
Where we're doing 6 games in the NFL this week.
Yeah.
Todd, real quick, is it me first or Mike first? Me? Yes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. So the first game is Chicago at Indy. I know this. You probably saw that this was one of the games that I put on here, and you were like, "Why is this game?" And
I'm intrigued by this game.
I'm just intrigued by it. Yeah. Exactly. I want to see Anthony Richardson against this Bears defense.
Yep.
And I'm also a little surprised that Indy's favored, to be honest with you.
Yes.
That all being said, this line is weird. Like I said, I don't think that I'm not sure if Indy should be favored the way they looked last week against Green Bay. I like the under in this game. You got a rookie quarterback and you got a guy that's completely unproven in Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at it, you've got a rookie quarterback that hasn't thrown a touchdown pass. You've got a coach that is under fire for underutilizing his star running back. So they're going to be Richardson's going to be running, Taylor's going to be running. This is going to be a run game. I myself also thought that this line was a little bit wonky. When I looked at the splits, I've got 61% of the bets are in Indianapolis. So people are really thinking, hey, we don't like this Caleb Williams. We don't think the Bears are any good. We think they're overrated. People thought they were going to be good. They're running to bet Indianapolis minus the 1. They think that's a short line. However, the line hasn't moved. It is just sat there. So with that said, again, my theme of the week, I got to get on the sides of the books, and I'm taking Chicago plus 1.
I think Chicago's defense is better than Indy's. I really do. Yeah. And like, especially if Keenan Allen comes back, I think that he's a game changer for Chicago.
100%.
Chicago's offensive line is so bad. They might get Caleb Williams killed.
Yes.
But I believe more in Chicago's defense than Indy's defense. So I agree with you. But that line is very stinky to me. It's very strange.
The line is strange in it, but the game itself, for future reference to see, when is Chicago going to wake up and what is Indianapolis doing? And this gets into this. So if you go back to one of the coaches I was complaining about was Indianapolis. This is a bet against him too. And what I'm really starting to find out, you're way more of a football guy than me. Coaching matters. Like I have been winning some bets and happy as can be, and then all of a sudden it shuts down and it changes, and it is flat out coaching.
Yeah, it's good. Like I think when I think about it from like a football perspective, I want to bet on teams with coaches that I can trust and offensive and defensive lines that I can trust. 100%. Legitimately, everything else outside of that, whatever. Those 3 things, especially to me in the NFL, are the most important things that I look at any given week. The next game, Houston at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Houston is favored by 2. So we got the home dog philosophy going on a little bit here. Over under 46.5. Mike, I'll let you take this one first. This is another very interesting game. Minnesota obviously 2-0. Houston's 2-0. It's a great matchup.
Absolutely. And it's are the Texans for real? Are they going to be this team that people are picking for the Super Bowl? and it is, who is this Minnesota? Is this team for real? Is Darnold real? Is this happening? The only thing that scares me about this game is the Jefferson injury, whether it is a little bit more serious than he's leading on. He's saying he's going to play. This is a game that I've got 38% of the bets, 43% of the money's on Minnesota. So once again, I'm going to be siding with the Bucs. I got to take that. I got to take the line move. This line opened at 3.5 and it moved to 2. So I'm taking Minnesota at 2. I actually have this one also in pocket in my account. And let me tell you, you want to talk about work getting in the way. I watched that line move from 3.5 to 3 to 2.5. And I'm like, all right, I got a fire on it. I got called into a meeting, Blake. By the time I got out of that meeting, one was down to 2, another one was down to 1.5. So it worked getting in the way of my betting here, but Minnesota plus 2.
I like Houston. I don't disagree with any of your reasons at all, but like I think Houston's offensive and defensive lines are better than Minnesota's, and I've seen Minnesota do it against. I mean, obviously they did it last week against San Fran. It was just a weird game. I didn't catch much of it to be frankly honest with you, but I watched all of Houston, and
yes,
as weird as it is, like their offense sputtered, but at the same time, I was like, this looks really good. The Mixon injury is going to be huge for this, though, too. If he doesn't play, that changes that offense a lot because of what they do.
And that is probably one of the scarier offenses that are out there right now with the weapons that they have. And just Stroud he just continues to amaze. Like every week he's doing something. But this is another one. Another bet I can say is against a coach that has some questionable time management and some in-game decisions that he makes that have impacted these games. So we'll see how it goes. But I can't even argue with your Houston -2. But
and I really like the Vikings coach. His name is slipping my brain right now, but he's done an incredible job there. He puts that team in position to win. So I think the talent on Houston outweighs it.
Yeah.
Next game, Austin brought it up in the chat. The Lions going to Arizona. Detroit is favored by 3 on the road. Over under a 51.5. I will start with this one. I am going to take Arizona.
Okay.
I would lean under on this, but that's something I didn't even feel comfortable enough putting on the board just because of Detroit's offense lately, to be completely honest with you, and the red zone woes. But if I can get a home dog at 3, I do think the Lions are going to find a way to win this game, but I think it's going to be really tight.
Yeah, and this is one of these games I just wrote Scary Mike next to it because I'm not going splits. I'm not going line moves. I'm actually going against where this seems to be going and going with, I guess we can call it a trend, but the Lions have bounced back. I think it's the last 8 times after a loss they've won. Then when they do that, they tend to have more of a run-based offense, a run-heavy offense. So that's why I'm going with the under 51.5. I think they're going to come out. I think they win this game. I think that they're going to run this ball. They're going to try to run it down the Cardinals, Arizona's throat here. It was at 52.5. It moved to 51.5, but I'm going under.
No, I like that. I like that play a lot. I agree. They have to figure out Sam Laporta in the red zone. Yes. They have to. And they need someone else, too, in the red zone because, in my opinion, Amon-Ra is not a great red zone threat. Neither is J-Mo. Just the build of those guys. Yeah. You have to figure out Laporta in the red zone, or this red zone offense is going to be an issue all season long, and that is not an issue you want.
What we seen, especially last week, we don't want any of it. We don't want to be questioning Ben Johnson. We don't want to question this offense, and we don't want to question Jared Goff because when that happens, this team's in trouble.
Well, and from a Dan Campbell perspective, you got a guy who likes going for it on 4th down.
Mm-hmm.
If he can't trust his red zone offense to get it on 4th down and has to fall back on his kicker, who Jake Bates has been good this year, but he's not completely proven. I don't like that spot for the Lions at all. So next game, Sunday night football. We have Kansas City at Atlanta.
Yep.
Kansas City -3.5 on the road. We got a bunch of road dogs this week.
Yeah.
A bunch. Over under is 46.5. I like it's Mike first.
It's
Mike,
me. All right, I got this one.
I'm pretty sure you go first. Yeah.
All right, this is one where, once again, following the trend, I'm going to side with the books here. 69% of the bets are on Kansas City, but this line moved in my favor from 4.5 to 3.5. So I jumped on the Falcons at 3.5. It's not one that I have in my pocket, but I really, really like this bet. I think, again, the books are going to need this one because everyone's going to run and bet on Patrick Mahomes. But I like this dog.
All right. I am on the other side.
Yeah.
We're disagreeing a lot this week. One of us is going to have a great week, and one of us is going to have a bad week in the NFL.
I think so.
I like Kansas City. I think that, and I like the under. I like the under a lot. It's a primetime under. They're always inflated numbers for primetime. Atlanta's offense didn't look by any shakes incredible last week until that last drive in that Philly game. And obviously Mahomes didn't have his best game as a pro. Yep. Pacheco being out for a few weeks too, that obviously affects this offense. So that's why I like the under. Yep. But you don't get rich betting against Patrick Mahomes. No, in the regular season, it's not as profitable, obviously, as in the playoffs.
Yes.
But I always just have a very hard time betting against the best quarterback in the NFL.
Agreed.
And it's primetime Kirk Cousins. That is a stat that people forget because obviously in last week he won in primetime.
Yep.
But
you like that?
Historically, primetime Kirk Cousins is not great.
Good. Not good.
So next game. This week's also interesting with the double Monday nights. Yes. And did you see how the NFL did their slate this week? There's 4 1:00 games, 4 4:00 games, and then the Sunday night, and then the 2 Monday night. So it's very spread out, which is great.
I like that.
It's great for like red zone watching, all that stuff. Yes. It's fantastic because last week it was 10-3.
Yeah, that's too much.
It's way too much in the 1:00 slate.
Yeah, 10's way too much. So who's got this one first, you or me?
I believe now I have to look at me. I do.
There we go.
Jacksonville at Buffalo. I am taking Buffalo. I'm going to ride with Josh Allen. Jacksonville, obviously, coming off of that tough loss last week against Cleveland.
Yep.
I don't know what Jacksonville is. That division that they're in is, it's them and Houston, you would think.
Yes.
But is it just Houston? I don't know. Buffalo has played really well. And I'm gonna trust in the second best quarterback, I believe, in the NFL, which is Josh Allen. So
yeah, this is another one that I have this actually in my pocket. I think the public is looking at the Bills and they see what they've done this year. They see what they're doing. Josh Allen's coming along. They're looking real nice. However, with how many, but they've got 76% of the bets. People are just running to lay these points with the Bills. That line's moved from 5.5 to 5. So that shows me that the books are taking their side, and their side is Jacksonville. So once again, the theme of my day is I'm on the side of the books. I got Jacksonville +5.
All right. We are really fighting against each other a lot.
I saw that when we first put it up.
And then the other Monday night game, Washington at Cincy. Cincy's favored by 7.5. Over under is 47.5. And I believe there's so many games. I'm getting confused on whose pick is first. I think it's me. No, it's you. It's you.
Me. All right. So this is a rarity. I'm going over 47.5. The splits are 27% of the bets, but 58% of the money is on the over. This was one that once I started looking at for the show, I actually was looking to go bet it in my account. I'm like, I like these numbers. I like that this line's then it moved towards the under. So I did not put it in my account. That's an automatic no. I've got to stay disciplined and true to it. But for the purposes of the show, I'm taking over 47.5, a primetime over. Let's go.
And that's exactly why I took the under.
Exactly.
And I'm taking I'm going to ride with my guy Joe Burrow against the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bengals put themselves in a position to win that game last week. They cannot start out 0-3. They can, and they know they can't. So, and especially like that division right now is really weird because you got Baltimore who's 0-2, Cincy who's 0-2, Pittsburgh who's 2-0.
2-0.
but that doesn't make any sense because
no.
And then the Browns obviously at 1-1. So the two teams that you would think would be the favorite in that division haven't won a game.
Yeah.
I think since he's going to come out, and T. Higgins, it looks like he's going to play this week. He practiced today. That changes that offense completely. And Jaden Daniels still doesn't have a touchdown pass.
No.
But he has looked, out of all the rookie QBs, honestly, he's probably looked the best, I would say. Just because of his running ability.
And all I need is their kicker to kick 7 more field goals this week, and I think this game will go over.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just said under because of the primetime aspect.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't hate the over, but I really like Cincy in this spot. They have to show up.
Yes, they do.
They have to show up. They have to show out. So real quick, let me just throw these. I have 4 other NFL picks that I like.
Okay.
Chargers at Steelers under 35.5. You got 2 teams that just want to run the ball. They're 2 teams that are not big play offenses. I like that.
Love that.
Austin, I also like the Chargers plus 1.5, but Pittsburgh as a dog or as a favorite is not a team I like to take.
No.
If they're a dog, I like them.
Yes.
If they're a favorite, I don't. It's just that's just
how they've been under.
That's how they've been under Tomlin. Yep. Eagles at Saints. I like the Eagles plus 3. I don't know what it is about this Saints team.
Here we go. We're riding, Blake. We're riding on that one.
And then Panthers at Raiders. Raiders -5. This is strictly I'm just betting against the Panthers every single week. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I don't care what the number is. That team is awful, absolutely horrible, and I don't care who the quarterback is. It could be Patrick Mahomes, and I'd be like, nope. It's not going to work. No. Not with that offensive line.
Again,
No.
You've got your feel. You've got to ride with it. So we'll get through this one real quick there. You got more?
I just had one more. This one, I have a question mark next to. Okay. And I wanted to ask you about it.
Okay.
49ers at Rams. Rams plus 6.5?
Do the Rams have anybody healthy?
No.
That's my only question on that one.
So there's this like circle of like coaches in the NFC West, and McVay always beats Shanahan, and Shanahan always beats who used to the old Arizona coach. Now it's not as much of a circle, but McVay's record against Shanahan is actually really good, but still, like, you're right, 100%. The Rams have nothing. No Cooper Kupp, no Puka, nothing.
Absolutely nothing. They're absolutely decimated.
But then why is this line under a touchdown?
They looked like absolute trash last week and getting boot stomped. Here's the thing, though. When you take that bet, you're following kind of the theme that I have. This isn't one that I have, but you're going to be on the side of the books. They're going to need the Rams by the end of the day. I would say that not only they're going to need them on the spread, but I would bet San Francisco is probably a big part of a lot of money line parlays that the books are going to need this one to happen. Yeah. Those are ones I usually love to have, but this is a game that when I'm going down, whether my numbers are matching up, I have to look at injury kinds of things, and I just don't know who they can dress. And it's not just Fred and Joe. These are big players that
Yes.
they're going to be missing out on.
100%. And that's why I had a question mark next to it. And
Yeah.
you didn't talk me out of it, but you didn't
Nope.
talk me into it.
No.
So
I can't do either. All I can say is sports books are open for a reason, and you're going to be on their side.
Yep.
Right. So, all right, real quick. I'm going to the Ravens Cowboys game. This is in my pocket here. I'm going under 48. I think the public, I think there's 55% of the bets are going on the over. They see some struggling teams here. They see a Cowboys team that just gave up 41 points. They see points are going to be flying. But I'm going with 45% of the bets and 85% of the money. And this line has moved from 48 to 47.5. Last time I checked, I got it at 48. So I like my number.
Yeah. Still available some places at 48.
The Jags I actually grabbed at plus 5.5. I mean, so we said that one for the show. And here we go, Blake. We're riding. I've got Philadelphia plus 3, right? 70% of the public is on the Saints. They've seen this team come out and steamroll everyone. They think they're the greatest show on turf, all these things. But this is where my NFL trend comes in. So this was one I was looking at, and I was hoping I wouldn't miss that 3. Then all of a sudden, this trend came across me. And this guy was talking about week 3 is the great reckoning. This is where everything gets even, is in week 3. Teams that have allowed 6.5 yards per play in the first 2 weeks, the Philadelphia Eagles stink on defense. In week 3, they're 26-16 straight up and 65% against the spread. I ran and took this bet at Philadelphia plus 3. I love this bet. The Vikings we talked about, I got them at plus 2. And then the other one is I've got the Lions Cardinals under 51.5 with my Lions are going to be running the ball mostly on that one. And there's a couple other ones I've got circled, but that's, as we've said, I'm only going to give you what's in my account. We'll talk about the lines that they're at right now and the lines that we got them at. But again, how shocking is that? What is that? 1, 2, 3, 6, only 6 in the NFL. And I think I'm up to 10 plus in the,
you told me before the show, you like 30 games.
I was at 30 games, and this is shocking. 30 games on Monday. It went to 25 on Tuesday, and then it started to cut down. But I like I said, I read those off. I think it was about 10 or 11 games. I was actually getting a little nervous as you see that money come out of your account.
No, hey, we're gonna have another good week. I can feel it.
We are gonna
feel it. We're just gonna keep on going up. Do we recreate a 5-0 and 4-1 week in college football, and a 4-1, and I ended about 500 in NFL.
Yeah.
Do we recreate that? Probably not. But we're gonna damn sure try.
Yeah, I hope so. Let's see. Where did I ended up 5-3 in the NFL, 4-2 in the NCAA, and I gotta like it. I was running my numbers. I'm 27-20 on the year right now. I'm really liking that. 57.4% to be exact.
I need to look at. I will go through this and look. Last week was a big week for me because, I said,
that boosted us for sure.
It wasn't just the games that we picked for the show. Like I said, I went 10-3 in college just for picks that I loved for this show, and that's for anybody, that's a really good week. And the only losses I had weren't even close. Like it was the Nevada game, which I'm done riding Nevada. It's officially I'm done. It was a good run for me in Nevada. We had fun. We enjoyed that week 1 and week 2 win. I am officially done with that. The Purdue game, never close. Yeah. And then, Michigan just let me down per usual. Yeah. So at least I have a national championship to fall back on.
You do. They can't. They're never going to take that away from you. And we have Austin here, who's he's with you. He's riding the Chargers. He says, "Take Harbaugh versus Fields. What does history tell you?" Right.
That's true.
Absolutely.
No, I like that, but it's just I have a hard time with taking Pittsburgh as a favorite. I don't know what it is. It's just a mental block for me.
Yeah, no, it is. It's
the Chargers are going to stay in every single game this year, though, just because of their style.
Yes, and I think we'll see as it goes. Again, the week 3 is a big reckoning. It's the people start to get even here. Those 2-0s go to 2-1 and start falling off, or are they going to be 3-0? But right now, Harbaugh is just stepped right back into the NFL. He is imposing his will on other teams. He is going to do it. Just Herbert was averaging in his career before Harbaugh 40 passes a game. He hasn't thrown 40 passes this year.
Wow.
So Harbaugh knows what he's going to do. Herbert is a little bit hurt, but he knows what he's going to do. He's going to be one to watch. But I like that Chargers plus 1.5.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we get on out of here? We have a close now to show off too, and it's incredible.
Just a disclaimer of, once again, people, we know what we're talking about. Stick with us. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. But if you miss, you're going to lose money by missing the bets that we made the week before when we have these big weeks. We can't promise big weeks every week, but that's just a little bit of a taste of what we're talking about here. So reach out to us on social media. If you have any questions, we'll be available.
Yeah. And, obviously, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube to Unsyndicated so you can catch everything else that Sean's doing too.
Yep.
Obviously, the hockey show that you and Mike do is incredible. Sean's got Off the Air going on, and Shep and Sean going on. So just great content being rolled out over here. So, Todd, thank you very much for everything you do. And Mike, we'll see how this weekend goes, man. Have fun up there in Canada watching your son play.
Absolutely.
And enjoy your weekend.
The young lad's turning 18 too. So happy birthday to Sebastiano. I can't wait to get up there and watch the Lindsay Muskies tomorrow. Let's have a week, Blake.
Hell yeah. Let's have a week. And on that note, we are out of here.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Off the Board. Tune in all throughout the football season for weekly picks and insights. Subscribe to Unsyndicated and Off the Board on all your favorite social media and podcast platforms.